The time by Sagicor is
7 p.m.
CVM News at 7 headlines Tuesday, courtesy of Heart NSTA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, frightening 300% spike in police fatal shootings. We have comprehensive coverage. Concerning Jamaica Teachers Association to visit Petersfield High amid shelter concerns. And later, not so smart. Medical Association warns against seeking medical advice from AI platforms. Forgotten. Chief Justice criticizes court restoration efforts post Melissa. In the business report, countering financial crime. While in sports, St. Elizabeth Technical and Excelsior celebrate schoolboy football titles.
CVM News at 7 headlines Tuesday, courtesy of Heart NSTA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
CVM News at 7 Tuesday, brought to you by
KFC value menu. As you thinking chicken, get the chicken box combo for just $680.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Tuesday, January 6, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thanks for joining us. Up first this evening, the police are maintaining Monday's triple fatal shooting in St. Tullys, Manchester was retaliatory. The JCF says the operation was intelligence-driven. The names of the deceased have been released, among them a 17-year-old boy. CVM's Carolyn Brown visited the scene today.
I'm standing here along the Scots Pass May Road in Clarendon. Now, I'll take a few steps to my right, and the sign says you are entering St. Tullys. Now, the St. Tullys community is actually in Manchester. That community is known for the very popular St. Tullys River. Now, the people are very happy about that. What they are not happy about is that at the start of 2026, their community is now in the news. Not because of the river, but because of an unfortunate shooting incident, a fatal shooting incident where 3 persons lost their lives.
A day after the Monday afternoon shooting, which is now a controversial issue being probed by Indicom, the area was still. There was hardly anyone in sight. This senior says he was stunned to hear there was a shooting, as all he knows about is the peace and tranquility that always draw outsiders in.
Tell me about the area.
Nice everything. River everything. Nice people, nice everything. We don't know war or anything down here. It's a nice place.
And you have lived here all your life?
Yeah, I want to go here, but I have a good time now.
You were here when the shooting incident happened?
No, I wasn't here. I don't know nothing about it.
So you don't know the people in the house?
I don't know them. Strange people don't come over here.
The house was rented or what?
I suppose so, rent, I guess so.
Because the persons who were in there moved out and...
Before person, but nobody was empty out.
So but you heard that because of the hurricane? The hurricane?
I just that heard.
Okay. The hurricane, you know that since then people came in?
Yeah, but I don't know them, they're not from here. Nobody, no, we don't have no wrong door down here, man. We don't have nobody. They're just a good district here.
We eventually got to the house where lawmen from the local police station, we were told, swooped down at about 12:30.
The door is locked. This is the house where the shooting took place. No one is home. We're unable to find out exactly what happened from persons around, as they are all tight-lipped, those that we have encountered. On the veranda, we're seeing signs of what appears to be bloodstains. The forensic experts will do their investigations, and they have already started to determine, was this blood flowing from the inside out or from the outside in. We all await the outcome of the police investigations into the shooting involving their colleagues.
The Constabulary Communication Network identifies the three male victims as 17-year-old Rashid Johnson, 23-year-old Brian MacDonald, also known as Savage, and 26-year-old Tishon Porteous. Both adults are said to have been farmers, with MacDonald the only one who hailed from a St. Elizabeth address, according to the police report. The police say the men opened fire and the fire was returned. Family members have disputed that. 2 firearms were reportedly retrieved from the scene. Curlin Brown, CVM News.
In the meantime, Monday's triple fatal shooting pushed to 12 the number of people killed by lawmen since the start of the year. It follows 2 other triple fatal shootings, one in Westmoreland and another in Granville, St. James, on New Year's Day, which also resulted in the death of a 4-year-old boy. The Lawyers Christian Fellowship is warning that the pattern threatens public trust and is calling for greater accountability. Akeem Orit has the details.
The Lawyers Christian Fellowship, LCF, is expressing grave concern and deep moral distress over the continued reports of fatal shootings by members of the security forces, particularly so early into the new year. The group says while it recognizes the difficult and often dangerous circumstances under which law enforcement officers operate, the frequency and scale of fatal encounters cannot be ignored. Helene Coley-Nicholson is president.
Given the number and the seriousness with which we approach and take life, the sanctity of life issue raises questions which have been repeated not only in this, in fact, this press release could have been longer, because there are so many questions for the Jamaica Constabulary Force to answer in relation to the circumstances in which these number of killings are taking place.
The latest incident in St. Toulis is the 3rd triple fatal shooting involving the security forces since the start of 2026. Earlier this month, 3 men were shot and killed in Westmoreland, followed by another triple fatal shooting in Granville, St. James on New Year's Day, an incident that shocked the community after a 4-year-old child was also killed. According to statistics from the Independent Commission of Investigations, police fatal shootings have shown a sharp upward trend in recent years. For 2023, 155 fatal shootings, 2024, 189, and 2025, 311. The president argues these figures are troubling.
The numbers we're seeing now are comparable with 2010, I believe, and that would have been the year of the Tivoli Gardens incursion, a very unusual year. And so, while we celebrate the reduction in the official statistics having to do with murder and violent crimes, we want to look at the number of police fatal shootings and ask, is it possible to reduce those as well?
Mrs. Coley-Nicholson says the fellowship stands firmly with Indicom in its demand for stronger oversight, transparency and accountability within the security forces.
We have been listening to the statement that Indicom has made and the questions they've been asking, and we support Indicom. We join Indicom in asking, for example, whether or not there is in fact a culture in the Jamaica Constabulary Force and in the security forces generally, where there is a 2-tier system of processing crime scenes, so that there is one way of treating with scenes where there have been police shootings as compared to other kinds of shootings.
She's calling for stronger oversight and greater accountability within the security forces.
So the LCF is calling for certain things, and we're condemning all extrajudicial killings and unlawful use of force by state agents. We're calling for prompt, independent, and transparent investigations into all fatal shootings. We support the mandatory use of body-worn cameras in all security operations. We're urging the strengthening of accountability, training, and oversight. We're calling on the church and civil society to pray and to act for justice and peace.
Akeem Oret for CVM News.
And the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, is now investigating the fatal shooting of 12 people by members of the security forces since the start of 2026. The commission says on January 5, its teams responded to 2 separate police incidents, a triple fatal shooting in St. Tullys, Manchester, and a single fatal shooting in Clarendon, resulting in the deaths of 4 men. Deputy Commissioner of INDECOM, Yannick Taylor-Wellington, has expressed deep concern about the trend, noting a 65% increase in police fatal shootings in 2025 compared to 2024, and a 300% increase in deaths during the first 5 days of the year. The commission also notes that while 8 firearms were reportedly recovered across the 6 incidents, no body-worn cameras were activated by police officers during any of the fatal shootings. In one case, an officer reported having a camera but said it could not be activated due to the absence of a mounting clip. INDECOM says all scenes were processed, gunshot residue tests conducted, and the bodies of the deceased sealed pending post-mortem examinations. The involved officers have also been served with statutory notices requiring them to submit statements and attend interviews. In the meantime, Government Senator Marlon Morgan is condemning what he describes as false and misleading reports surrounding crime statistics for 2025. He says lawmen face life-threatening situations and cannot sing Kumbaya when under attack. Here again is Akeem Oret.
Senator Marlon Morgan is pushing back against what he says is a campaign to detract from the police's success in the 2025's reduction in murders. He says certain narratives in sections of the media is misleading and irresponsible. He argues the statistics released by the JCF reflect a genuine reduction in murders and is cautioning against what he describes as attempts to undermine public confidence in national security efforts.
There has been a vulgar and misleading campaign by a segment of the media, as evident in numerous news reports, commentary, and editorials, including editorial cartoons, to diminish the tremendous success of the JCF in reducing murders in 2025 to a 31-year low, subtly attributing the significant reduction in murders to increase the police fatal shootings. As a law-abiding citizen, I urge the police to remain relentless and professional in discharging their duties and to not be distracted or otherwise discouraged by the reckless and misleading campaign of their detractors, including operatives in media.
Addressing public concern over recent fatal police shootings, Senator Morgan stressed that lawmen are often required to make executive decisions when confronted by armed criminals.
The JCF undertakes their work in very dangerous and trying conditions. When confronted by brazen and marauding gunmen who are prepared to avoid being brought to justice and paying for their crime, including the mandatory 15-year minimum sentence for gun possession, what do we expect the police to do? We cannot expect the police to sing Kumbaya or exchange pleasantries with criminals confronting them with deadly and sometimes even superior firepower.
He acknowledges the importance of professional conduct, emphasizing that law enforcement officers must operate within the bounds of their training and the law.
To the extent that Jamaica has an independent investigation commission, INDECOM, ongoing body-worn camera procurement and deployment, as well as internal JCF investigative and disciplinary procedures, neither the media nor the public should be preemptive of due process, as a police fatal shooting may well have been warranted. It is for the well-established accountability mechanisms that are in place and continue to be put in place by the government to determine whether or not a police fatal shooting was in fact justified.
Comments come amid heightened national debate following 12 fatal shootings by law enforcement officers since 2026. Reporting for CVM News, I'm Akeem Art.
Our news package continues in just a moment.
Chicken mega deal, super chicken mega deal.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
Do you recognize the signs of dengue? Look out for these symptoms: high fever, severe headaches, joint and muscle pain, skin rash, nausea, and pain behind the eyes. If you experience these symptoms, rest, stay hydrated, and take paracetamol for pain relief. If symptoms persist beyond 3 days or worsen, such as persistent vomiting, severe abdominal pain, or difficulty breathing, seek medical attention immediately. Early treatment can save lives. Know the signs, act fast, together we can beat dengue. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness and PAHO.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Welcome back. Continuing the news, the Jamaica Teachers Association is slated to visit the Petersfield High School in Westmoreland on Thursday as concerns mount about the institution's readiness for the new school term. Dozens of displaced residents remain on the school compound even as administrators move to implement adjustments for teaching and learning. As Kevin Black now reports, dozens of other schools reopened with temporary arrangements.
Now underway, hundreds of schools across the island are still grappling with the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Government figures indicate that more than 600 schools were damaged by the storm. And according to President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Mark Malava, administrators are forced to adopt temporary measures just to keep teaching and learning going.
Some schools, for example, a few schools who have adopted the shift system. There are some schools who are using a staggered approach with respect to accommodating the students. So Petersfield is certainly a major challenge. Of course, you know that the individuals from the community who had suffered immense damage are still being housed there. I'm told that there are some 12 families are thereabout that are still being housed at Petersfield.
Malava explains that some schools are, however, unable to fully reopen due to the extent of the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. He adds that Petersfield High School in Westmoreland, which is currently housing residents displaced by the storm, has prompted the JTA to conduct on-site assessments.
Many of the schools would really be unable to have full resumption, given the extensive damage that they suffer. I think from the JTA will be visiting the institution on Thursday. We intend to speak with the teachers. My understanding is that the teachers are being housed at a different location, and that they will come on to the school compound on Monday. That's what was reported to me. We want to go and see first and what is happening, and we want to speak with our teachers to ascertain their comfort level.
Meanwhile, principals have told the CVM News that despite the reopening of schools, many students have not yet returned to classes. Malava says a targeted approach will be needed to address the issue and ensure students are reintegrated into the education system.
We are going to have to seek to make contact with them to see what are their challenges and how can we respond to those challenges and their needs in order for them to come back into the institution. I really hope that the ministry will help to coordinate this process as we seek to bring the students back into the formal education system.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
Still on the reopening of schools, parents are welcoming the return to face-to-face classes, especially for children preparing for external examinations. But the National Parent-Teacher Association is concerned as some institutions are still being used as shelters. Carla Ramdeen reports.
President of the National Parent-Teacher Association, Stuart Jacobs, says despite challenges, the association welcomes the reopening of schools, especially for children preparing to sit external exams. But he notes parents are concerned about schools still being used as shelters.
It's one of mixed feelings. Some are very appreciative of the fact that some schools have been open and their children are able to go out. They also appreciate the fact that the students who are doing external exams from grade 10 to 13 are able to do 5 days of school while they have the rotation process of grade 7 to 9 doing like 3 days or 4 days a week. That's appreciated. They appreciate the fact that they can put on their uniforms or whatever it is that they can wear to school. So it is happening. They are no longer in the house wondering what is happening. So that's appreciated. Where the concern comes is with the schools that are sharing space with those who are in shelter as a result of the hurricane. And there's a concern there. The concern is the sanitation situation where the children have to somewhat share facilities that others might have used the night before, although it's clean, but there's that fear. There's also that concern that although separated physically, but there still exists some amount of encroachment or the possibility of encroachment where they are on the same building or the same ground that those who are being sheltered are on the same premises that they are in classrooms at.
Mr. Jacobs says more schools need to diversify the way they operate and adjust to current crisis.
It's very instrumental that the work goes on, that there is that resumption of school that is happening. The mixed approach is working, where you have some schools have some students, some districts have been given connectivity, where the teachers are able to make contact with the students. That approach again, based on the local context, and the selective days obviously is working.
He adds that the NPTAJ had recommended that the government introduce field classrooms to relieve pressure on the schools most affected by structural issues and ongoing repairs.
That was our reporter Carla Ramdeen. Meanwhile, medical practitioners are sounding the alarm tonight about the dangers of seeking medical advice online. With long wait times at clinics and the high cost of healthcare forcing many Jamaicans to turn to the internet for answers, the Medical Association of Jamaica is warning that false and misleading information can do serious harm. Amoy Harriet tells us more.
It starts with an innocent question. What does it mean if I have a severe headache? According to Google, serious causes could range from an infection to a brain aneurysm or even brain tumors. But buried in the fine print, a warning most people never read.
The truth be told is that the internet is no substitute for a consultation with a well-trained health provider who will guide you through what your symptoms mean, because many diseases have the same symptoms.
A recent investigation by health organizations and medical experts found that Google's AI overviews are presenting false and misleading health information that could put people at risk of harm, and Jamaicans are also being exposed. A 2020 study found that hundreds of Jamaicans rely on social media for retrieving health information and rated its effectiveness highly. Professor Marvin Reed is president of the Medical Association of Jamaica.
What we found, especially following the pandemic, that there was a lot of disinformation, which is really intentional spreading of false information on the internet, as well as some misinformation, which is really the unintentional spreading of false information. Combined together, what it basically means is that there's a lot of information that is on the internet, which is inaccurate and downright wrong. In addition to that, you may have information that is accurate, but is inappropriately or interpreted. And so the individuals put themselves at great risk. The other thing is that you can have a complete what we call misdiagnosis, or the wrong diagnosis altogether. And again, the consequence of this is that you're going to suffer from some of the complications of the disease, which are preventable.
He acknowledges that in some cases, the cost of healthcare often drives Jamaicans to seek medical advice online, but insists...
In the Jamaican context, that's really not an excuse. The Jamaican has basically two health systems. It has a public health system where access to that health system is free of cost. There's no money involved in order for you to see an individual at their health center.
Where that public health system is concerned, do you think the long wait times, for example, might be a bit of a turn-off for many Jamaicans?
Sure. The long wait time is a factor, and I think anyone who works in the system will acknowledge that factor.
Professor Reed is urging Jamaicans to verify medical information with qualified professionals and to treat AI-generated advice as a starting point, not a diagnosis.
You may think that you have something more serious than what you currently have. And the mental trauma that you undergo or experience could have been alleviated, could have been prevented had you sought the appropriate attention.
Amoy Harriet for CVM News.
Jody and Quarry now joins us for a look ahead at Lead Story Prime.
Hi, Nika. We're having a discussion today about the baby recession. We've started off a brand new year, and we want to take a look at how many births Jamaica has been having and the implications of having a lower birth rate in the country. What does it affect? Who does it affect? And what does it mean for Jamaica in the future? We're having that extensive conversation later on inside Lead Story Prime.
All right, so you must watch that. But before that, we take a break. Stay with us.
You know, some days are harder than others, but we have to do our part. You like porridge? We're in this together.
Morning, nurse. Thank you for what you do every day.
Come in, nurse. Our bona fide.
In this together. Chicken, 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 mega deal, super chicken, mega deal.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
Tune in to Lead Story, weekdays at 6 p.m. Hosted by Jody and Quarry. Brought to you by VC's Electrical Sales. Quality products at affordable prices.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
The time by KFC is...
Thanks so much for staying with us. TechPulse is transforming the way we live, understand technology, and integrate them in various areas of life. Last year was great, but 2026 promises more gadgets and artificial intelligence offerings that you don't want to miss. Let's browse some of these options. 1, 2, 3. The countdowns are over, but with the new year comes new tools to make life easier. Here are some of TechPulse's favorites for 2026. First up, what developers have dubbed the Pocket Projector. How much are you willing to pay for portability? In the digital world, size is everything.
Take your movies anywhere with this ultra mini pocket projector. It turns any wall into a big screen up to 150 inches, perfect for films, games, or slideshows. Connect via cables or mirror your phone wirelessly for seamless streaming. Built-in speakers and a rechargeable battery make it completely portable, so you can watch and listen on the go. Compact, bright, and easy to use. It's a tiny device that packs a huge entertainment punch.
Next stop is an amazingly useful retractable charger, the ultimate 2-in-1 tool to tackle the clutter and chaos that sometimes leaves your chargers non-functional in short order.
Tired of messy cords everywhere? This 2-in-1 retractable charger keeps your space neat while powering up your devices fast. It comes with both Lightning and Type-C cables, so you can charge 2 gadgets at the same time. Advanced tech delivers stable, fast charging, giving your phone or tablet a quick boost without overheating. The cables retract automatically, making it perfect for travel, work, or home. Durable, bright, and easy to spot. It's a simple way to stay powered up.
And I'm picking up cool vibes only with this refrigerator, music, and more.
Who says a fridge can't be cute and clever? This compact character fridge adds personality while keeping your snacks and drinks cool. It comes with a built-in speaker, so you can play music straight from your phone while you chill. There's also a UV cleaning feature that helps keep the inside fresh and hygienic. Small, stylish, and fun. It's perfect for bedrooms, desks, or anywhere you want cooling with character.
Staying on cool, how about a mini monitor featuring confidence you can carry?
Keys are easy to lose, but your fingerprint isn't. This smart padlock opens instantly with a simple touch, giving you fast and secure access. It remembers multiple fingerprints, so you can share access with people you trust. If someone tries to mess with it, the built-in alarm sounds off to scare them away. It's waterproof, rechargeable, and ready to protect bikes, bags, gates, or lockers anywhere you need.
And because safety is equally important in the New Year, New You push, we picked this special finger-friendly padlock. It's literally safety you can share and then some.
Selfies look better when you can actually see yourself. This mini monitor clips onto your phone and mirrors the rear camera in real time. You use the better back camera while framing your shot perfectly every time. It plugs in instantly, stays smooth with zero lag, and never needs charging. Whether you're vlogging, going live, or filming short videos, you stay centered, sharp, and confident on screen.
That's it for Tech Pulse this week. Remember, the future is now. It's now time for regional and international news.
This is regional and international news. I'm Akeem Oret. We begin regional news with news from Trinidad. The Ministry of Defense is warning the public to be cautious of misleading social media posts following the circulation of incomplete information about the status of Trinidad and Tobago's airspace. More from TTT Live.
In a statement, it explains that there is misinformation on social media regarding the status of our airspace, where a partial excerpt of a notice to air missions or not bulletin has been shared. The ministry says this is obviously designed to sensationalize an otherwise pedestrian issue and calculated to create unnecessary chaos and hysteria. The government remains committed to safeguarding national sovereignty, aviation safety, and public confidence.
In international news, 6 European allies have rallied to support Denmark following renewed insistence by the US that it must have control over Greenland. In a joint statement, the leaders of the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, and Denmark says, quote, Greenland belongs to its people, and only Denmark and Greenland can decide on matters concerning their relations, end quote. BBC News has the latest.
The frozen wastes of Greenland are in Donald Trump's sights after his military action against Venezuela. He says he wants this Danish territory to become part of the United States. But NATO allies have other ideas. In a joint statement, the leaders of Britain, Denmark, France, Germany, Poland and Italy said security in the Arctic must be achieved collectively in conjunction with NATO allies, including the United States, by upholding the principles of the UN Charter, including sovereignty, territorial integrity and the inviolability of borders. Greenland, they said, belongs to its people. It is for Denmark and Greenland and them only to decide on matters concerning Denmark and Greenland. The renewed focus on Greenland came after the US captured President Maduro of Venezuela.
Cuba's economy relies heavily on oil supplies from Venezuela, and any disruption to those shipments could worsen the island's fuel shortages. U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed Cuba is ready to fall without Venezuelan support, arguing that Cuba cannot survive economically if the oil flow is cut. Al Jazeera reports.
2026 is going to be tough, very tough, but we have to keep fighting.
For decades, Cuba has endured U.S. sanctions and trade embargo. But Venezuela's oil, which meets around half of Cuba's current energy shortfall, has helped keep the lights on. That supply is now in doubt.
That's it for regional and international news. I'm Akeem Aret.
Up next, sports with Jordan Fort. Stay with us.